Okay, yesterday we started learning the dinam of Talmud Torah, of learning Torah. Every person has an obligation, pardon the voice, every Jew has an obligation, rich, poor, it doesn't matter. Every Jew has an obligation to learn Torah every day. Now, it says when a person learns Torah, the last thing we learned is when you walk out of a room, don't leave your sefer open. It's disrespectful. It causes the person to forget their learning. Next is like this. When a person learns, he should really learn with a loud voice. Why? Because it says, it shouldn't leave your mouth. So therefore, it also says another thing, even though you get a mitzvah of learning Torah, is it hot water?
No, you want to put some water?
Yeah. Therefore, even though if he speaks Torah, especially Torah Shabbat or written Torah, and you don't understand what you're saying, but you say the words, so you get the mitzvah of learning Torah anyway.
But it's a Torah Shabbat Peh also?
No, Torah Shabbat Peh, if you say the words without understanding it, you don't get a mitzvah of learning Torah.
So why say that?
You get a nice, instead of speaking Lashon Hara, you speak that is better, but you don't get a mitzvah. Torah Shabbat Peh, you need to understand.
Sometimes you're learning for more than an hour. It's just hard to speak out loud for more than an hour.
So it says it's just better to do it verbally. It's just better.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard to verbalize it for over an hour. Sometimes you just want to read it with your eyes.
Okay, so then you could. If you're doing it to go deeper into it, you're allowed to. Or for that matter, if somebody listened to a class, a Torah class, online or in person, whatever. So it says, Shemea Kaina. When you hear it, thank you. When you hear it, it's like you said it. Like by Kiddush, right? You hear Kiddush, it's like you said it. The Megillah, you hear it. So the same thing it says in Shulchan Aruch, that if you hear somebody speaking Torah and you just listen, so then you mekayim the mitzvah of Talmud Torah properly. Okay.
Can you do a siyum on the Sefer tomorrow? But Shemaya on that?
Yeah. Shemaya Kaina, so you learned the Masechta. Why not? Okay, next din in Kitzur is the dinim of Sefer Torah and other holy books. It's a mitzvah on every single yid. In fact, many people call it the 613th mitzvah, is to write a Sefer Torah. Okay? It says, Kitzur Lachem Ashir Azeis, you have to write this song, which refers to the Torah. Every person has an obligation, and even if you inherited a Sefer Torah from your parents, you still have a mitzvah to write a Sefer Torah on your own Sefer Torah. Now, let's discuss this a little bit. What?
If you did it before your bar mitzvah, you consider you did it, or before you did it?
No, because you have a mitzvah after bar mitzvah to write it. But many Rishonim, including the Rosh and many other people, hold that the purpose, it says in the Chumash, to write a Sefer Torah, lelamda, to learn it. Years ago, where did people learn from? They learned from a Sefer Torah. They didn't have Chumoshim, printed Chumoshim. They learned from a Sefer Torah. So the Rishonim, the Rosh and others write clearly that because the reason of writing a Sefer Torah is in order to learn, so nowadays we don't learn from a Sefer Torah, so every Jew has a mitzvah to buy Svarim. To buy Svarim, to learn Torah, and according to many Rishonim, that's the way you fulfill the mitzvah of learning Torah. Now, the Rebbe once spoke an interesting sikha. He says, we don't find, by many tzaddikim, even the Rabbi wrote, we don't find that they were meticulous in particular to write their own Sefer Torah. So, why is it, so to speak? So the Rebbe came up with a very interesting idea, and that is, if you join a communal Sefer Torah, you buy letters in the Sefer Torah, it's like you wrote the whole Sefer Torah. And the Rebbe brings it down, a proof in Halacha. There's a din in Shabbos, if two people do a malacha on Shabbos. So Gemara says it's only rabbinically forbidden, not biblically. Shnaim shasa p'turim. Which means, if two people flick a switch, let's say flicking a switch would be biblical, which itself is a separate question. But you flick a switch, two people together, you're not biblically chayiv. Two people carry out the sefer together, they're not obligated because it's not the normal way of doing it. But what happens, as the Gemara uses the expression, Za'eina yachol v'za'eina yachol. This guy can't do it on his own, and this guy can't do it on his own. For instance, two people carry out this heavy table.
One of them can.
One guy cannot do it. So therefore, what's the normal way of carrying this table? Two people carrying it. Therefore, if it's the normal way, of carrying it, then they would be chayiv. The Rebbe spoke the same thing about, it's called chalukas hashas, when they divide shas and yutas kislev, everybody takes a tractate. So over there, the Rebbe also said an interesting thing. According to that halacha, it comes out, I can't learn the whole shas in 1 year. I can't. So if I learn a Masechta, it's like I learned the whole shas. Why? I'm part of a group. I cannot do it myself. You cannot do it yourself. All together we do it. And therefore, what does it mean? Like by Shabbos. If two people carry out this table, why are you chayiv and why am I chayiv? Because it's considered as if we did the whole thing, each one individually. So the Rebbe said the same thing by, like, say, chalukas hashas. You can't learn a whole shas 1 year. So you pick a Masechta, he picks a Masechta, he picks a Masechta. Everybody together, it's like they learned the whole shas. The Rebbe said the same thing is with a communal Sefer Torah. Not everybody has the means to write a Sefer Torah. Not everybody is able to do it. Therefore, if you can't do it, and you can't do it, and together we do it, it's like everybody did the mitzvah of writing a Sefer Torah. Therefore, the Rebbe encouraged throughout the years, kids and adults, they should all be part of a communal Sefer Torah. Because then by buying a letter in the Sefer Torah, it's like you were totally part of it. In fact, in Tafshin Lamed, when they finished Mashiach Sefer Torah, Tes Shvat, Tafshin Yu was on a Friday. I was there then when it happened. Shabbos was Yud Shvat, Tes Shvat. The Rebbe finished Mashiach Sefer Torah Friday afternoon, after midday. But before that, a few months before, the Rebbe made a campaign that everybody should give $1 to participate in Mashiach Sefer Torah. And he said, even though the Sefer Torah was paid for, and it was, the Rebbe writes, the Rebbe could have done it himself, but he wanted others to participate. So the Rebbe said, now that we're finishing the Sefer Torah, everybody should participate. He said, not more, not less, $1. And the Rebbe said, even if somebody wants to give more, no, $1, that's it. Every person, now there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that participate in that. And by that, again, the same thing, so everybody's considered as if they wrote it themselves. So that's the halacha of writing a Sefer Torah. Nowadays, you're allowed to do it by writing a communal Sefer Torah, or, more importantly, halacha says by buying svarim that people learn in, Gemara, Chumash, Chassidus svarim, whatever it is, they fulfill the mitzvah of. Now, you're not allowed to sell a Sefer Torah. Okay? You're not allowed to, if you own a Sefer Torah, you're not allowed to sell it. There's only two things that Allah says you're allowed to sell a Sefer Torah. One is to learn Torah, and the other one is to get married. These are the only two things. But I saw recently that Rabbi Shulchan writes in Hilchos Halva that you're allowed to sell a Sefer Torah to pay back a debt. Whatever, you owe somebody money, and it doesn't look like you're getting and you add a Sefer Torah, that Rabbi writes clearly you're allowed to sell a Sefer Torah to pay back a debt.
If it's Jewish?
What?
If you owe them money, owe the
Yeah.
money to someone who's Jewish.
Yeah.
But I thought like if you don't pay someone after 7 years, they're obligated to let it go.
That's if you don't make a prosbul. That's the sabbatical year stuff. But today they collect even without a
Jewish
prosbul.
guy should be okay with the fact that you're selling the Sefer Torah to pay back.
That's how important paying back a debt is.
What's the foosball?
Huh?
What's that one?
Prosbul.
What's that?
It was a Hillel invention. You know the great Rabbi Hillel? The Torah says, if I lend you money, as soon as the sabbatical year comes, the debt's off. Not 7 years from the loan. Whenever the sabbatical year comes,
So if it happens to be at 6 months and 8 months, 6 years and 8 months,
the debt's off. Okay. And the Torah warns, you shouldn't be evil and not lend money then because you're not going to get it back. So he says, no, you still have a mitzvah to lend money and believe in God, so to speak. So Hillel in his time saw that people were not lending money. They said, half a year from now is going to be Shemitah, I'm not going to get back my money. I'm not going to give money. They went against the Torah. The Torah says, don't be evil and not lend money. Money is money. So Hillel instituted.
it's not that money is money. Jews are Jews.
חברים חברים עד הכסף.
So Hillel came up with an idea of prosbul, meaning like this. Nowadays, the sabbatical money undoing is rabbinic, not biblical. Nowadays, it's Shemitah is rabbinic. Because we're not every Jews in Israel, we don't have it. Okay. So he says, the fact that Shemitah undoes a debt is rabbinic. So Hillel said like this, the Torah says a private debt cannot be collected in the sabbatical year. Shemitah takes off the debt. But if it's not a private debt, meaning, if I give over my debt to the courts, I say it's not my debt anymore, it's you court, Bezdin, then Shemitah does not undo it. Then you can collect the money. So Hillel instituted a concept called prosbul. Gemara talks about it in Gittin in different places. Hillel talks about prosbul, which means that I'm giving over money to the court. So what you do is, when you do, the Nedarim thing, Erev Rosh Hashanah, you nullify the vows, the Torah Nedarim. So what you do at that time, out of Shemitah, you give over the debts to Bezdin, now you're able to collect them. Many people say you don't need to do prosbul. Why don't you need to do prosbul? Because today everybody understands I'm going to pay back the debt. It's like I made a condition that sabbatical year shouldn't affect it. But the Beldout Rebbe says you should make a prosbul. That's our minhag. We make a prosbul every 7 years in case somebody owes money. So paying back a debt is so important. You're even allowed to sell Sefer Torah for that.
I like to build a mitzvah.
I don't know. People say it. I haven't seen it yet.
What? What do you ask?
People say that to build a mikveh, you can also sell a Sefer Torah. Maybe it says somewhere. I personally never saw it. I know people said it. I heard it from a lot of people. Okay, it's also mitzvah, like we said before, to buy sfarim and lend them to others. There's a pasuk that says, until him, Sidkasei Emedes Lo'ad, his righteousness exists forever. The Gemara in Kesubah says, who is that? HaKesef Sefer Torah, sfarim, a guy who buys or writes for, and he lends them to other people. Then your righteousness is permanent, because everybody can now learn Torah because of your thing.
Also, if you didn't shulim, you could sell it.
Yeah, Pinyin Shuim you could sell, but that's because there's no greater mitzvah.
And to build a shul.
No. Okay, now, another interesting thing is when people donate a Sefer Torah to a shul. So you have tax issues, IRS issues, and you have halachic issues. The minig is, because like this, if I buy a Sefer Torah and donate it to the shul, so then it's not mine anymore. So I don't own it. I gave it to the shul. So I would have to go make another one for myself. So what people usually do They lend it to the shul. They don't give it to the shul, they lend it to the shul. By the way, which means legally, you can't get a tax write-off for it. But if you're lending it to the shul, it's still yours, you never made a donation. I'm not saying what Jews do, I'm just saying what legally, if you donate a Sefer Torah to shul, it's tax deductible. Let's say Sefer Torah is $50,000, yeah? So it's $50,000 tax deductible. If you're lending it to the shul, then it's not tax deductible because you didn't donate it. So then it's like this. But if you don't donate it, then you can technically take it back whenever you want. There's a whole discussion in halacha, should you, are you allowed to, you're not allowed to. Most opinions say that when you give a Sefer Torah to the shul, if you lend it officially to the shul, it's yours, you can take it back whenever you want.